Hello. For this week's video, I'd like to answer a question that I hear all the time. That question is this: what's going on in the market? And of course, what that really means is, how does what's going on in the market affect my house? Or how does it affect my desire to buy a house? So I thought I'd pull together some July and August numbers, and let's take a look at them and see if we can answer that question. One of my very favorite charts is this one. It tracks the multiple listing service dollar volume all the way back to 2007. So this is transactions that are coming right through the MLS that we as realtors use to track data, and gives us some very specific things to look at. A couple of things. One, you'll see that kind of until 2007 is this orange line in here, and then you see it start to drop. So obviously we know things happened in our economy and particularly in the mortgage market to make a lot of that happen. And that's complicated and we're not going to get into that, but you can kind of see that here. But then once you start to get to this blue, which is 2013, you start to see some consistency in the curves from year to year. What we want to focus on is really this last couple of years. If you take a look at 2017, 18, and 19, that's these three lines up here, you see that the start of 2019 was very similar to the previous 2 years. January, February, and March are tracking almost identically. Then we start to see a little bit of a drop here in 2017, so 2018 and 19 actually accelerate. May of 2019, this year, is a record year ever for dollar volume transactions in the North Texas area, in the Metroplex here. So that's an important number. So when people sort of feel like real estate has really slowed down, tell them that May was a record ever, and then look at this. We cooled a little bit in June, back to numbers similar to the last couple of years, but check out July, and that's really what this says down here. July was just about $3.6 billion in transactions in North Texas. That's 8% up to numbers here. We'll have August here very quickly, and when I get those numbers, I'll come back and do a video on that as well. But if you take a look at that number, that's stunning. So people who are saying real estate's falling apart, I challenge them to answer that question based on the data that's here. The other thing that we hear all the time is at the end of last year, September, October, November, and December, we did see a slowing in the market. There's no question about it. If you take a look at 2018, that's the yellow here, we fell behind 2019 for those 4 months. As you go into the beginning of 2019, you see that that recovered quickly, and interest rates and some other things are really a big part of that. That's a much more global and a bigger picture than I'm going to get into here. But when people say things are slowing, we're slowing compared with the 2 record years ever. So slowing is a little bit of a misnomer. It's slowing compared with maybe what we've been at, but when we saw that gap start to happen, we're still competing with numbers that are stunning. So that whole feeling that real estate is falling apart and I don't know what to do about it is just absolutely not the case. And this is the entire Metroplex. We're not talking about a particular area. And actually a lot of Texas numbers you would see being very similar to this. So that's the 30,000 foot view. That is all of North Texas, the Metroplex, all the counties across here. So what people really want to know is, how does that affect me? So I like to use some charts from Metrotex, which is our regional MLS. And I like these because they give you kind of some very specific numbers to look at, and they break it down into counties. Here's Hunt County. Hunt County's median price, and now this is August, median price was 10.4% above August transactions in 2018. It's a huge number for us here in Hunt County. Median price is $195,000, and so that's in one number maybe the biggest good news that we have. Secondly, we look at what's happening in terms of listings. In the last couple of years, one of our challenges has been that we don't have enough listings, enough good listings, priced right, well cared for, good locations, all of those things. We haven't had enough good listings to work with. And that, of course, is what's driven a lot of the pricing increases. But check this out. August, we saw a 13% increase to August last year. So for buyers, this is good news. There's a little bit more to choose from, and there's not this panic about there's that one house, I've got to look at that particular house, and it may not be right, but I got to do something with that. There's a little bit more flexibility there. But when you're talking about closed sales are up, pricing's up, that's good news for sellers. So it's kind of a situation where everybody gets the good news that they're looking for. We get asked a lot about days on market. In Hunt County in August, the average days on market was 45 days, and then another 34 days to close for a total of 79. So what that means is if you're going to put your house on the market today, you're going to close about 2.5 months from now. That's on average. The lower the price property, the little more quickly that happens, the higher price property, it's going to be on market a little longer. And that's because of this number up here. This divides the distribution of those transactions into various prices. So you can see that in Hunt County, almost 40% of our transactions were between $100,000 and $200,000. That you'll see in a minute compares, it's a lot different than some of the other counties that we have around us, but that's still where our volume is. The other thing it says is if you have a property that's somewhere in the 500,000 and above range, in August, less than 1% of sales were that kind of property. So that means you need a strategy. That doesn't mean that it's not going to sell. Every property that's priced right and marketed correctly will sell. What it does mean is you need a strategy, and that's what you need to talk to your realtor about. The last number I want to talk about here is months of inventory. Traditionally, a 6-month inventory is an equilibrium market where buyers and sellers both have kind of the same input into the market. We're shorter than that. 3.5 months of inventory, 3.6 months, means we're still in a seller's market. There are still less homes on the market than all the people who potentially would want to purchase them. And so we need to understand that. We are a little bit more inventory, and you see that here, than we were last year. It was 3.3 months, but still fairly similar and not a big gigantic difference. Okay, that's Hunt County and kind of how these numbers work. Here's Rockwall County, just our little neighbors to the west. Rockwall actually has a median price that's dropped just a little bit here, and but you're talking about a $300,000 median price versus $195,000 in Hunt County. But everything else is up. Active listings are up, closed sales are up, days on market, very similar to what we have here in Hunt County. Months of inventory is a little bit more again, but you're talking about 0.1 of a percentage point, so not significantly different there. The next county over to our west, north of Rockwall, is Collin, a much larger volume county, of course. If you look at the number of active listings, 350 in Hunt County in August, 780 in Rockwall in August. Now we're 5,200 active listings in August in Collin County, but median price moving up. Active listings down a little bit. This is a little unusual in the Metroplex, but not changing very much. 1.3% isn't a gigantic change, but it's an interesting number. Closed sales are up. Month of inventory, very similar to what we have in Hunt and Rockwall counties. And number of days on market is about the same. A couple of days more at 85, but very similar. The last county I want to cover is Dallas. Again, larger. 7,000 properties on the market in inventory in the month of August. Median price up. Active listings way up. Almost 20% higher than last year in August. And that's a number to kind of follow. Of course, Dallas is a massive market, wide variety of neighborhoods, all of those things. But that is a huge number. So that's going to allow buyers lots more options as they're going to look for homes. Days on market, 71, so actually a couple of days shorter than the other counties. Months of inventory, very similar. Closed sales is down just a hair, but it's a negligible number. I think a statistics person would probably tell you that that doesn't mean much at all, so kind of flat. So they're still cranking out 2,300, almost 2,400 closed sales in Dallas County in the month of August. So that gives you kind of a snapshot of what's going on. Of course, the bigger question is why all of this is happening, and the reality is it's growth. North Texas is blowing up. People are moving in. In 2018, more people moved to DFW than moved anywhere in the country. If I remember the numbers correctly, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 240 or 250 people a day. That's huge. All those people need to live somewhere. But it isn't only happening now. It's happened for a long time. I was reading an article this week, and this chart is sort of interesting. Number of households in Texas, a little less than 10 million households in 2017, so this data is a couple of years old. That's a 20.6% increase over 2005. That was the base year here. 20% more households as compared to an 8% increase across the country. So that trend has just continued. We see more people moving into the area, and that means more demand for houses. That means more houses that need to be built. So hopefully those give you some numbers as you're trying to figure out what your biggest asset, which a house is for most people, what it's doing, or if you're looking to buy, it gives you a feel for what the market really is doing and what to expect. A good realtor can help you with that. Obviously, I'd be happy to do that, and there are lots of us who would. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. You can look up Sawatsky Realtor on Facebook. There's a variety of other ways to get to me. I'll be happy to post in the comments below my contact information. And whether I can help you answer questions or help you with your home, I'd love to do that. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.